Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the United Community Channel. And we're back with another transfer talk show, but we are back with a special one tonight. And this is the one that everyone has been asking for and that people have been waiting for. So, as anyone who's watching on YouTube will know by the title, that the title, of course, is the Premier League Prediction Show. So we're going to be giving you our Premier League predictions. I'm not going to do 1 to 20. I'm going to be doing both relegation, and then I'm going to also do top 6. Okay. Now I do have maybe some other things that I might do in relation to maybe player of the year, top goal scorer, things like that as well. But yeah, feel free to get your comments and your thoughts into the chat as well in relation who you think will be relegation, top 6, all of that kind of stuff, who your player of the year is going to be. All of that good stuff. I'm looking forward to this one. Before we do get into all of that, obviously we do have some, transfer talk news that we're going to, talk about as well and get into as well. So obviously we have plenty to talk about in relation to De Jong, and we also have plenty to talk about in relation to Cristiano Ronaldo as well. And Dean Henderson, of course. For anyone who's been following my TikTok today, we've had a fairly big video in relation to Dean Henderson on my TikTok, and I think it's close to 15,000 views as well. So looking forward to talking about that as well. Albie is in. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. SVD is in. Career Mode Tips says hi. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. I'm a Milan fan, but I'll stay. Well, you're more than welcome. You're absolutely more than welcome. Thanks for joining us. So, I suppose let's get into it. I mean, where do we start? We could start with one of 3 different areas. I'm going to start with Frankie De Jong because, would it really be a transfer talk show without Frankie De Jong? In all fairness, Frankie De Jong. So, I mean, look, we've had, obviously, updates in the last couple of days in relation to him. And the main updates in the last 24 hours have been in relation to Chelsea. They have not really got, not that they haven't got anything to do with Manchester United, because of course that has everything to do with United. But I suppose reports in the last 24 hours or so have suggested that Chelsea are ready to make a bid for Frankie De Jong and are negotiating with Barcelona at the moment. And reports have also then suggested that obviously Chelsea would be a bigger pull for Frankie De Jong than Manchester United would be, obviously because they have Champions League football. So, I think the funny thing about all of this, and over the last few days and over the transfer window in general, Chelsea have been linked with every fucking footballer on the face of the planet, basically. So, they may or they may not have, concrete interest in him. According to reports, Thomas Tuchel is a big admirer of them, and obviously they think that the lure of Champions League football with Chelsea will maybe sway him from moving to Barcelona or moving to Manchester United. Now, look, I mean, if there was ever anything that suggested that Frankie De Jong will be moving from Barcelona this year, it's the fact that these reports linking him to Chelsea have come out, and that Chelsea are supposedly negotiating with Barcelona in relation to Frankie De Jong. So it goes back to what I said all along. I'm just shy of certain that he won't be playing for Barcelona next year. And, it all comes down to obviously the way they've been treating him. And, I don't think, why would anyone want to stay there? Obviously, he does want his wage situation sorted out, which he is well within his rights to do. So I absolutely, I'm absolutely certain once that gets sorted, he will leave. So look, again, I'm a bit relaxed on the whole situation. There has been reports in the last couple of hours that have suggested that, and look, let me just get into them. It comes from Jason Steinberg. He says a move for De Jong could prove difficult for Chelsea. They have plenty of competition in midfield, although Juventus are interested in Jorginho. Reports again have suggested that Chelsea have made contact with Barcelona and held discussions with Frankie De Jong's representatives and are now strong contenders, but Manchester United remain keen on him and are definitely not giving up. Okay. Other reports then have also suggested that Manchester United believe Frankie De Jong is ready to come, and the hold-up has been over the 15 million rather than a reluctance to move from Barcelona, which is what I've been saying for the last 6 weeks. So I think once this 15 million pound sterling, 17 million euro gets sorted with Barcelona, I think, you know, I think the quicker this deal will run on. Now, I don't see anything happening this week or next week. Reason being is that the deadline on this basically is, and D-Day is the 13th of August, because that's the day that Barcelona need to have their players registered with La Liga due to financial fair play. And due to financial fair play, basically their new signings cannot be registered until they get players off their books. So I certainly expect movement to happen before the 13th of August. So I think that's the date that we're currently working on. I think if a move does happen, it will happen before then. Which is good news, I suppose, for Manchester United. You would expect him, if we do get him then by then, you would expect maybe Barcelona and Manchester United to do a deal. You would be hoping we could have him for the Liverpool game, which obviously is our third game of the season, But again, look, time will tell over the next few days. I certainly don't think we're going to, have any major updates between now and the 13th, but yeah, let's see what happens. Irish lad is in and says, Sesko deal done apparently. Yeah, it is, absolutely. It certainly does look that way. Again, there's no concrete evidence coming out from the maybe the tier 1 journalists, but it is certainly looking good, in fairness. So again, look, I think that's something that I reckon that's something we'll hear over the next day or two in relation to any potential moves. Please smash a like on the video as well, guys, if you haven't already done so. Anyone watching on TikTok, please tap the screen for us, helps the channel out a ton. And anyone watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button for us as well. Let's see what people are saying here. Jagtag says Chelsea have too many midfielders, so you may not get as much game time. Yeah, well, that's the issue there, absolutely. Balabing says, well, pal, how are you? Liverpool fan here. Love your content. You up the Irish. I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. You're more than welcome. Benjamin Sesko, what do you think? Yeah, I've said it from day one with Sesko that I think he would be a very good signing. Great age, great potential. And, certainly would add depth to the squad. And we need it for our forward line. So, yeah, I'm all for it. Ronaldo to Chelsea says that Dax, I can't see Manchester United selling Cristiano Ronaldo to a rival in the Premier League. I really can't. I think if he is going to leave Manchester United, it'll have to be outside of England. But, again, let's see what happens. Bally G-Man says, I think we have really shown the mess our recruitment recently, chasing a player that doesn't want to come. Well, look, again, that goes back to what I was saying. I think he would have no problem playing with Manchester United. The reason this is dragging on so long has nothing got to do with Manchester United. It has got to do with the fact that Barcelona owe him 17 million in wages. And that's why he's holding out. That's what he's holding out for. I think once that gets sorted, I think he's more than happy to actually sign for Manchester United. And Manchester United wouldn't still be in the running for him if he wasn't interested at all. They couldn't be that stupid. You know what I mean? So, Rob says, why don't United and Barca agree to knock the wages owed sell price? Yeah, exactly. And I think Manchester United eventually are going to end up covering his wages. Now, whether that knocks 17 million off the transfer fee, I don't know. But look, I mean, if we can get the deal over the line, who cares? Who cares? Where did you get your red retro sharp jersey from? I got it. I can't remember the name of the website. I think it was at DH Gate. It's a replica. It's not a real one now. It's a replica. But there's plenty of websites like that online you can get them from. Absolutely. But yeah, let's get into Ronaldo. Ronaldo. So obviously the main headlines in the last couple of days have been Ronaldo leaving Old Trafford early. And, there's been uproar over it. Now, he wasn't the only player, you know what I mean? There was plenty of other players who did leave early, but obviously the focus is going to come on to Cristiano Ronaldo. I think it was a very foolish thing to do by the players. I really do. But obviously, Ten Hag has come out and he has basically slammed the players for doing what they've done. Let me pull up the quote from Ten Hag here. Let me just see. Sorry now. I'm after losing it. Of course I'm after losing it. Right when I absolutely need it. No, I can't find it. But anyway, Ten Hag basically comes out and says they're part of the team. It's a team game. We want everyone. I think it's totally unacceptable for players to be leaving before the final whistle. So Ten Hag is totally against it. And look, everything that's come around, players leaving. Of course, Cristiano Ronaldo was going to be the talking point of all of this. And I think it's absolutely what we don't need at the moment. And I think this is the complete fanfare around Cristiano Ronaldo. And it's why I'm starting to maybe leaning towards just get him out. Just let him go. Let him go. I mean, it's just not worth the distractions, because as long as he's there, and we can see a lot of people and a lot of, people were mentioning the gestures between him and Ten Hag at in the first half against Rayo Vallecano, where, he was shrugging his shoulders and doing this, and it didn't look good. It absolutely didn't look good. And you see then at half time, there was one substitution made, and it was Cristiano Ronaldo to come off, which I'm all for. I think if it was done because of dissent and things like that, and him not doing what he should be doing, then absolutely Ten Hag should take him off. Now, he has come out and said, that obviously it wasn't down to that. It was his first pre-season game, blah, blah, blah. But I just think it's time for Cristiano Ronaldo to go. I think if Manchester United can get a deal and get him out of the club and get him out of England, because we shouldn't be selling to a rival in the Premier League, then I think it's time for him to go. I really do. Cottle says the picture of Ronaldo leaving has the low leaving and cropped out of it. It certainly does, Cottle, and it was always going to be the case. Delors leaving early is not going to sell newspapers, or get people clicking on websites and things like that. It's always going to be Ronaldo. Albie says the fun and games have started with Ronnie. People saying he will be professional. My arse, he only cares about me. I didn't agree with him playing Sunday, and he shouldn't play again for the club. Well, there you go, Albie. So I mean, and a lot of people are saying the same. They really are, and I have no problem with that. I agree that he should go if we can get a deal over the line for him. But, I mean, if he doesn't go, he has to be professional and put the head down, or else Ten Hag won't play him. And I think Ten Hag has the power to do that. I really do. I think he's been given the power by the board that, we're only going to have Cristiano Ronaldo for one more season max. So I think he absolutely does have the power to do that. Redan says, same thing happened with Pogba. Now he is injured. Ronaldo should just stay for his last year and don't go. Andy says, I'd tear up his contract and just move on. Well, exactly, Andy. And, I did hear someone say today, if Ronaldo is so adamant on going, he's getting 500 grand a week. Why doesn't he buy himself out of his contract? Which is absolutely, an option there. He can certainly buy himself out of his contract, but he doesn't want to spend that kind of money. Of course he doesn't. So... I think it's kind of a catch-22. Carol says, we need De Jong, be a big ask for top forward down. I agree, but I think we'll do it in Ireland. Absolutely. So, well, look, guys, final topic in relation to transfer talk before we move on to the Premier League predictions is obviously Dean Henderson. Now, this fucker, I mean, he came out and just absolutely had a right go at Manchester United. Like anything I don't think I've ever seen before. So he's basically come out and said that the last 12 months have been a nightmare. He said it's criminal the way he was treated at Manchester United, that he wasn't going to be number one. He was promised the sun, moon and stars, and it didn't end up that way. And basically what he goes on to say was, good night. See you in the morning. But basically what he goes on to say was that when he after Euro 2020, he was promised that he was going to come back to Manchester United and be Manchester United's number one. And subsequently what happened was he got a run of games. He got COVID. He was out of the team. I don't even think he got a run of games. He got one or two games. He got COVID, he was out of the team. But then he says in the interview that when he came back from COVID, he was expected to come in and still be the number one. I mean, do you think no other player that plays in the position that you're playing in is just going to sit there and say, oh, sure, Dean is going to be back now in another 2 or 3 weeks. I'll just wait. Sure, poor old Dean, he didn't get a fucking good go at it, did he? No, they're not. They're going to want to fight and get their place back. And that's exactly what David De Gea did. When Dean Henderson was out, David De Gea played very well. And when Dean Henderson came back, he obviously wasn't up to scratch, and De Gea was in. So Dean Henderson annoys the fuck out of me. He really does. And I never wanted to say it, but when all of these leaks were happening last year and all of the negativity coming out of the dressing room, and people backstabbing managers and talking behind players' back, it was pretty obvious to me who it was. Now, obviously, there was a number of players, but it was pretty obvious to me who it was. And I think the interview that he done yesterday is basically just after confirming all of that, and the fact that he's going behind people's backs, he's cutting the back off of everyone. He's still contracted to Manchester United, and Manchester United are paying his wages, whether it be all of it or partial, who knows. But for him to go around and burn bridges like that, he's never going to play for Manchester United ever again. I would be shocked if he did. And to be honest with you, when you leave a top tier club, he's not going to go to Chelsea, he's not going to go to Man City, he's not going to go to Liverpool, he's not going to go to Spurs, and he's not going to go to Arsenal. Where else does he go? He's after burning bridges there big time. And I think once you take that step down from a so-called top-tiered club like Manchester United are, it's very hard to get back up there again. So I think he's going to regret what he says. And what club would want to bring him in after seeing him cut the back out of his current club? I think he's just after shooting himself in the foot. And do you know what? I'm fucking delighted for him. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Please smash a like on the video as well, guys, if you haven't already done so. It helps the channel out a ton. Let's see what people are saying here. Irish lad says, Ronaldo can't believe no one wants him and he'll be here for the season. Love what he did for us last season and 10 years ago, but I wouldn't be that disappointed if he left. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Darryl says he should take it out with Ollie. Yeah, absolutely, Darryl. Seemingly he was the one leaking all of the info last season, says Irish lad. Yeah, we just said that, absolutely. Cottle says he was definitely one of the toxic players in the dressing room. Darryl said he should have known De Gea was going to be number one, and Hendo got more than a chance as our number one last season, and he bottled it. I think he had the run of 8 or 9 games in a row. Absolutely. Ethan is in. Good to see you, Ethan. Will we still get Anthony? No real updates on Anthony as of yet, but let's get into our we're going to do our Premier League predictions, guys. Okay, so get your predictions into the chat before we go any further. So how the predictions are going to work, I'm not going to do 20 all the way to 1. I'm going to do the 3 relegation teams, and then I'm going to do the top 6. Okay, so anyone who's in the chat at the moment, we're going to start with the relegation places. Okay, so give me 18, 19 and 20. Type it into the chat who you think is going to finish in the bottom 3. And once we get a few in, we'll discuss them and I'll give you my my update. So anyone that's watching on TikTok either, if you do want the full experience, you can go over to our YouTube channel. The link is on my homepage. You can click it up here. We do have a board with the teams that we're going with and everything like that. It's a wider view and it's got everything incorporated in it. So if you want to get the full experience, you can go over and watch us. We're live on YouTube there as well. Link is on my homepage. So let's see what people are saying here. Fulham, Everton, Leeds, says Reese. Owen says Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham. User says Everton to go down. Andy says 18th Everton, 19th Fulham, 20th Bournemouth. Thomas says Arsenal 18th, Liverpool 19th, and City 20th. Wouldn't you get some money back on the bookies with that? Everton, Leeds, Bournemouth is another one there as well. Darryl says Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth. Okay, so anyone who's watching on YouTube, you can see the full experience here. Again, like I said, if you want to go over and watch on YouTube, anyone from TikTok, by all means, you can do that as well. In 20th position, I'm going to go with Bournemouth. Okay, I just cannot see Bournemouth doing anything exceptional this season. I really can't. And I think Bournemouth are going to fall into the trap of a yo-yo club. And you know, they're up and they're down and they're up and they're down. And there's certain clubs that do go through a lot of phases like this. And they go down and they come directly back up due to parachute payments. And then, you know, they can't really sustain in the Premier League. Now, look, I have to say, I've got a lot of time for Bournemouth. And I used to love when Eddie Howe was the manager. I think he done great things with them. And they're a very good club. And they're a very likeable club. I just can't see them. You know, I don't think they've done an awful lot in the in the transfer window. Let me just see now. I'm going to just get up details of the transfers that they've done, because I don't think they've been overly I don't think they've been overly active in the transfer window so far, but let me just have a check here now. So Bournemouth, there we go. Players in: Marcus Tavernier from Middlesbrough, Ryan Fredericks from West Ham on a free, and Joe Rothwell from Blackburn on a free. So they haven't done an awful lot of business. You know, for a team coming up from the Championship, you'd be hoping and expecting maybe they'd have a bit more, you know, and that they'd hoping to get more done before the end of the window. But I just don't think they have enough. Okay, so in 19th, so to finish in 19th, I am going with Fulham. Okay, I'm going with Fulham. So again, look, Fulham are coming up from the Premier League, and I just don't know again if they're going to have enough. Now look, they have bought considerably. They have João Palhinha, who they got in from Sporting Lisbon. They have Leno from Arsenal that they signed. They signed Mbabu from Wolfsburg, Solomon from Shakhtar Donetsk. They did get Pereira from Manchester United as well. Sakalarak from Juventus. Look, I just don't think they're going to have enough. I really don't. I think they fall into the same bracket now as Bournemouth with this, again, with a kind of a yo-yo club. I just think it's going to be too difficult for them to stay up. I really do. I really do. But yeah, so Bournemouth and Fulham so far. So we have one more spot left in our bottom three. Let's see what people are saying here. Cottle says 20th Bournemouth, 19th Fulham, 18th Everton. I would be surprised if Forest got relegated either. Darryl says Johnson of Forest is quality. Lost Poet says Brentford might struggle, second season syndrome. Now, so my 18th is different to all of them. I'm going to be relegated, and this is not biased because of Manchester United, by the way. Let me clear that up right now. I'm going with Leeds United as my 18th position and to be relegated. I think Leeds are in trouble. I do think Leeds are in trouble. Now, I think they have a good manager, okay, but I think Leeds have sold too many of their top players for them to stay up. I really do. I mean, they're after losing two of their highest quality players, you know, in Rafinha and in Calvin Phillips. I think it's just absolutely criminal to be selling big players like that and not to get the same quality in, because it's always hard to get the same quality in. They have got players in and they've actually spent money, okay, but who have they got really? Okay, so they've got Aronson from RB Salzburg for 25 million. They got Luis Sinisterra from Feyenoord. Tyler Adams for RB Leipzig, not a bad player there. Mark Roja from Bayern Munich for 10 million. You know, they've got a young guy in Gayabi from Manchester City. So look, I think they've certainly lost way more than they've gained in this transfer window. So that for that reason alone, I'm going with Leeds to be an 18th. Okay, let's see what people are saying. Brighton to go down, says Ethan. Everton to go down. Now look, Everton as well. I mean, I have a feeling the relegation battle this year is going to be quality. I really do, because there's a number of teams that can potentially drop into that relegation zone. This is what I'm just going with at the moment, and a lot has to do with the likes of signings and transfers and things like that. So for that reason alone, let me just let the dog out. Give me 1 sec. Come on, buddy. You know, good boy. Sorry, we're not professional like the United stand or anything like that. You know, we're just normal. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be an easy one to call, everything could certainly go down. I think not. A lot of people saying Nottingham Forest as well. Now look, with Nottingham Forest, I think they've bought quite well in the transfer window, and I like their coach. I like their manager. I think he's good. I have a feeling Nottingham Forest will stay up. I really do. They're after investing well. Let me pull up the. Who they've signed. So, Forest. Union Berlin, they've signed, I can't even pronounce his name, Nico Williams from Liverpool. They've got Jesse Lingard on a free. They've now got Dean Henderson on loan. Who else have they got that we would know? They got Miyakete from Mainz. They got Wayne Hennessy from Burnley on a free, which is not a bad signing either. So I think Nottingham Forest could stay up. I really do. But look, I think it's going to be a great battle. I think the relegation zone is going to be a great battle this year, because there's so many teams hovering around there as well. Brighton, I don't know. I just think Graham Potter is too good of a coach and a manager for them to get relegated. And I think similarly with Brentford, I don't think they'll have second season syndrome either. I think they'll have enough. I think they're very compact and they're well drilled. They have a good manager. It's a little fortress that they have down there at their home ground as well. So I think they'll have enough to stay up as well. Cottle says definitely big losses in Rafinha and Phillips, but they made some quality signings. They did make some quality signings, and it's whether them signings hit the ground running or not. But I certainly don't think that, the signings that they brought in can match the signings that went out. But look, it's going to be interesting to see. Andy says, I think Forest will end up getting Garner back as well. Well, that'll be interesting to see as well, Andy. Absolutely. And again, it's been mentioned today that Garner's future will be decided in the next week or so, whether he stays on or whether he goes out on loan for another year. But yeah, we'll wait and see on that one. Okay, so that's the relegation zone done and dusted. Okay, please smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already, guys. Anyone on TikTok, please tap the screen for us as well. Let's try and get to 10,000 likes before the end. We're going to move on now to the top 6 in relation to who's going to finish 1 to 6. So I'm going to start obviously with 6th and work my way up. Let me know in the comments as well, guys. Put your comments in who you think are going to finish in the top 6 places, 1 to 6. And yeah, off you go. Throw them in there as quick as you can. And I'll read some of them out before I get into my own ones here. But again, look, I think me personally, I think the top 6 is... I think it's easy enough to pick the top 6 in who they're going to be. But the order in which they come, I think is quite difficult. So for that reason alone, I think it's going to be interesting to see what people are saying. Ritan says Man City first. Reece says West Ham, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool and City. Okay, so West Ham 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 7. Okay, so West Ham in 7th, Man United, Chelsea 6th, 5th. Okay, interesting. User says Arsenal, United, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, City. Then Podrick says City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Spurs and Arsenal in that order, 1 to 6. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of people saying a lot of different things there as well. Let's see. Albie says Arsenal, United, then Chelsea, then Spurs, then Pool, then City. Cottle says Arsenal 6th, United 5th, Chelsea 4th, Spurs 3rd, Liverpool 2nd and City 1st. And the last poet says City, Pool, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal and United based on signings made. Well, that's an absolutely vital last part of that sentence there, because that's what I'm going with. Or am I? Let me see. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm going on the basis of a couple more signings in the door for United only, okay? Because anything outside of that, I'm not 100% sure, okay? But let's start, okay? Let's go. Let's just jump straight into it. So in relation to the top 6, obviously we're going to start with 6th place. Drum roll, please. So in 6th, we're going with trusty Arsenal. I'm just not convinced with Arsenal this year. And there's been a lot of talk and a lot of scutter going on about it, right? So I'm sick of listening to him already. I really am. Okay, and you can say they're the biggest improvement so far, but are they? Are they really? I mean, who have they got? Okay, they've signed. Okay, they've signed a striker in Jesus. All right, who was a backup to no striker for Man City last year. Pep Guardiola won the title last year. He wanted the number 9, by the way. Last summer, he tried to get Harry Kane, and Spurs wouldn't sign him. Okay? And instead of playing the other number 9 that they have, Jesus, they decided to play no number 9 at all. So that's the player you're getting. He hasn't scored more than 15 goals in any season since he's been in the Premier League. I'm just not convinced. Now, I could be wrong. They've also gone out and got Zinchenko, okay, who, okay, is not a bad footballer, but is he going to get you to that level? I don't think so. I think Zinchenko got into the Man City team on a default, okay, due to a different left back, court cases, all that kind of stuff, okay? So he got in there on a technicality, and he kind of John O'Shea'd his way into the team a bit. You know what I mean? He was a bit dynamic. He could play a few different positions and stuff like that. And he's a decent player. He absolutely is a decent player. But is he going to take Arsenal to that next level? I don't think so. I'm not convinced by Arsenal this year. And I've watched a couple of clips of that All or Nothing, and it's fucking cringeworthy. It's cringeworthy. Your man Arteta playing You'll Never Walk Alone on speakers in the training ground the week that they were playing Liverpool. I mean, for fuck's sake, will you just go away and don't be annoying me, will you? You know. So, look, I'm not convinced. I think Arsenal will finish 6th. I think they will. See what people are saying here. I think we'll get 5th, and what we have now. And Cottle says, I think Arsenal are being overhyped. They don't have a lot of experience in that young squad. I agree with you, Cottle. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so that's 5th. Or sorry, that's 6th. In 5th, again, drum roll. We're going with, let me just do it here now. We're going with Chelsea. Yeah, we're going with Chelsea in 5th. Now, Chelsea in 5th in our Premier League predictions. The reason I've gone with Chelsea in 5th is because I worry about them big time in this transfer market. They've signed nobody. They've signed Koulibaly, okay, who's 31, I think, 31. He's been linked with Premier League clubs for about 7 years now, and he's never moved. And for some reason now he's got his move, and I think him playing alongside Thiago Silva. Ryan, thanks for the gifts. I appreciate it, buddy. I think Koulibaly playing beside Thiago Silva is not a young central defence, and especially if they're going to be playing in a tree, which Thomas Tuchel loves to play. He loves to play a tree. Who's the other one? You know, they're still very short in terms of defence. Reece James, if he can stay fit, is a very good player, but got injured an awful lot last year. And Ben Chilwell, there's also doubts over his fitness. I think if both of them can come back, then, you know, they mightn't be too bad. But if they're going to be playing, if Thomas Tuchel wants to play the way he likes to play, which is 3 at the back, they're still short on defenders. So for that reason alone, I'm going to go with Chelsea in 5th. Okay, they're still short up front. Now, again, the one positive I think they have is Raheem Sterling. Now, it depends on where they're going to play Raheem Sterling. Are they going to play him as a number 9? Are they going to play him out wide? It's hard to know. And this goes back to the Arsenal thing, whereas, okay, Arsenal have gone out and have bought players that Man City don't want. Okay, now to get you to that next level, why would you be signing players that the team you're trying to catch don't want? Now, if you tell me, if you're looking for goals in your team, which Arsenal are, would you prefer to have Gabriel Jesus in your team, or would you prefer to have Raheem Sterling? I prefer to have Raheem Sterling. He got 31 goals one season, you know, or something phenomenal like that. His goal record is absolutely fantastic, especially from playing in such a wide position that he did with Man City, and the fact that he's finishing is so poor, to get them high amounts of goals, I think is good for Chelsea. But it all comes down to the way Tuchel wants to play. Okay. So, that's 5th and 6th. So that's Europa League sorted. Okay, so we're now getting into the Champions League. Let's see what people are saying here. Dan says, I think Chelsea will get third. They've just agreed to sign a fullback from Brentford, so that's Cucurella. Yeah. Now again, I don't really know. I mean, what's that supposed to do with or what's that going to do for the likes of Ben Chilwell? It's going to be interesting to see. But yeah. But look, and again, this prediction that I'm doing now is based on current squads. Okay, it's based on current squads. Well, Manchester United is a little bit different because obviously we have a lot more knowledge on Manchester United as United fans. But look, we'll get into that in a moment. Not a chance 5th, and I'm not a Chelsea supporter, says John. Ethan, how you doing? I was watching Sky Sports to see Man United are interested in Neymar and Neves. Well, I hope to stay away from Neymar. Fulmer says Jesus is brilliant. Aaron says, I think where are we there? I think in my opinion Newcastle will have a good season at maybe 6th or 7th. PSG want him gone, says Ethan. Okay. Ladies, you think United will finish ahead of Chelsea or in cuckoo land? Alright, okay, well let me explain. Right, okay, so 4th, okay, again, drum roll, 4th, I'm going with Manchester United. Okay, I'm going with Manchester United in 4th. And there's a number of reasons for this. Okay. And again, and I won't lie, there's a small Manchester United hat on. I won't lie, because obviously I want them to do well. But the reason why I'm going with Manchester United in 4th is because of who I'm positive on who we're going to get. Okay. Obviously, I don't know as much about the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal and Spurs and things like that in relation to signings. I can only really comment on Manchester United, on who I know is coming through the team and potentially who we're going to be signing. So obviously De Jong is the main one. I'm 90% sure we're going to get De Jong. I really am. So I think that adds a massive boost to the squad, and I think it gives us massive potential in terms of getting into the top 4. Okay. Also, I think the signings we have made already are very good. I really do think they're good. I've been impressed with them all. Now, again, I know it's only pre-season, so you don't want to take it too much out of context. But I think Malacia has been a breath of fresh air at left back. His energy, his enthusiasm, his work rate. He's actually quite good on the ball. He's very left-footed. Okay, he is very left-footed. But so is Patrice Evra. Okay, so I'm not overly concerned about that. I think Eriksen is just class, and we've seen it in the couple of cameos that he's had in pre-season so far, getting on the ball, dictating play, dictating the tempo, switching balls left and right. I just think he's a breath of fresh air, absolutely. And Martinez, I think I'm most impressed with Martinez, even though I've only seen him play 60 minutes so far. He looks so composed on the ball. When he gets on the ball, he doesn't look like a centre back. He looks like a central midfielder because he's so good on it. He doesn't give it away that often. He's an animal in the air for a 5'9", and he loves a tackle, and I love that in a defender. The modern day defender now kind of annoys me a little bit, given the fact that they don't like to defend as their first job. I love a defender who wants to get stuck in, wants to make tackles, who wants to get up and win headers, but that's also able to play in relation to the modern game as well. So for that reason alone, the signings we've made and the potential of the signings we have coming through. Now, if we can keep Ronaldo, we can sign that young Sesko. We're being linked with, obviously, with Anthony, which I can see being dragged on as well. If we could get them 3 signings in, that's what I'm basing my prediction on 4th for Manchester United. Now, if we don't get any more signings in, I will certainly be taking Manchester United out of that 4th spot and putting them in probably 6th. Okay, but I think on top of signings, I think the Erik ten Hag effect is going to give United a big boost as well. I think he's a better coach, certainly a better coach than Arsenal's manager Arteta. I think absolutely. I think he's not far off of Thomas Tuchel at the moment, I don't think. But again, look, that's going to remain to be seen, and we'll see what happens. But I certainly think the Ten Hag effect will give United an edge, and I think the signings we've made are certainly good as well. The last post says Varane and the Butcher will be starting by 5 games in. I certainly hope so. I think Harry Maguire is going to play a lot of games this year. I really do. And I would say on the back of pre-season, I think he probably deserves to start the first game of the season at least. Because he's had a good pre-season, I thought. I thought his positional play was very good. I thought he used the ball very well. I thought his recovery runs were quite good as well. So I certainly think he does deserve to start the first game of the season. I do. And look, I'll criticise when criticism is deserved. But when praise is deserved, I'll praise him as well. Dan says, I honestly think Garnacho has the potential to have a similar impact as bringing 40 to 50 million pound player. Eric Ten Hag can turn to him in an absolute world. Dan, I agree with you 100%. And I think he will play a good amount of games this season for United. I really do. I think he's a breath of fresh air. When he played the other day against Rayo Vallecano, he looked like a Manchester United player, not afraid of the pressure, not afraid to take lads on, not afraid to lose the ball either. And he reminded me of a young Ronaldo when Ronaldo first came to United, when he took on players, gave the ball away a bit, and maybe his passing wasn't up to scratch. But I think nurturing him the right way and getting him into the first team squad as quickly as possible, I think sky's the limit for him. Absolutely. Okay, so we're on to third. So third place in the Premier League in relation to my predictions. We're going with, we're going with Spurs. I'm going with Spurs for third. I think Spurs have done very, very good business in relation to the transfer window. I really do. I think they've been great in it. Obviously, they brought in Richarlison from Everton. I think Bissouma for 25 million was an absolute steal. Spence from Middlesbrough was a good signing. It remains to be seen how he gets on. Again, even Perisic came in on a free. They've also got a backup goalkeeper in Fraser Foster, who's a good goalkeeper as well. I think they've done very good business. I really do. And I think the Conte effect, I think he's building similar things with Spurs than he did with Inter Milan. With Inter Milan, he had Martinez and Lukaku up front as a kind of a pairing. He has that now with Kane and Son. He had two kind of generals in the midfield as well, which he now has with Bissouma and the likes of, someone give me his name, centre midfielder for Spurs. I'm after drawing a blank. Someone give me his name there in the chat. Come on, someone give me his name. Centre midfielder for Tottenham. Højbjerg, good man, right? R.Y. Dilnot, good man, thanks. Højbjerg. So yeah, Højbjerg and Bissouma, I think, will make a very good partnership in the middle of the field. And the one area I do worry about with them is their defence. I mean, if they're going into another season with the likes of Dyer playing centre back, I think they're in bother. But there's still time. There absolutely is still time. So look, I think Spurs will finish in third, and I think again the Conte effect, similarly to the Ten Hag effect at United. I certainly do think that I think they'll get third. I really do. Let's see what people are saying here. What's the story with Garnacho? Is he signing a new deal, says Carl. A couple of people said it to me in the chat the other day, Carl, that he already has one signed. I haven't seen anything on it. I look into it. I certainly will look into it, but I haven't seen any. Now, I think he's basically, if he hasn't signed one already, he's basically ready to go with it. But yeah, Andy says, do you think Leicester is in a relegation battle due to lack of improvements? Andy, I think Leicester are in serious problems. I don't think they'll be quite bad enough to be in a relegation battle. But if you're following me on TikTok, I do have a Premier League prediction on it, and I think I put them in 11th. I put them in the bottom half of the table. I mean, Leicester are in serious bother. If you look at it, okay, so Schmeichel is now gone. It looks like he's gone to Nice. I think he's signing his contract today. Jamie Vardy has 1 year left in his contract. I think there was even reports of Manchester United sniffing around him, looking to sign him because he has 1 year left. They don't want him going for free. Tielemans has 1 year left. He looks like he's going to go as well. Maddison is being tapped up by Newcastle. They're in serious. Fofana is wanted by Chelsea as well. So they're in big bother. I worry for them. And they have no new signings in the door. So, and I have a soft spot for Leicester. I really do. I'd love to see them. Obviously, I think we all have a soft spot for Leicester, given what they've done back in 2016. And, they've won the Premier League and the FA Cup in the last 6 years, 6 or 7 years, which is great. I would hate to see them drop off a cliff just due to lack of investment, because it's getting to that stage now where if you do not get players in the next 4 weeks, it's going to have a serious knock-on effect for Leicester in the next 4 or 5 years. They could, if they're dropping out, challenging for Europe, you're getting a lower grade of player that you can sign, and before you know it, you're back in relegation battles, and before you know it, you're back in the Championship, and it can happen really quick, and by really quick I mean 3, 4, 5 years. The Last Poet says Spurs could win a trophy this season. No joke, they absolutely could. Albie says, disagree with you on your 4th and 5th spots, but hope you're right. I really do. Yeah, well, and again, that all comes down to signings, Albie. The Last Poet says they got Langlet from Barcelona. Okay, if Spurs win a trophy, we become the new Spurs, says Cottle. We should be in for Fofana, says Albie. We absolutely should. We absolutely should. Okay, let's do number 2. Okay, so obviously, it's pretty obvious who the top 2, are. It can be mixed and matched between Liverpool, City, Liverpool. So in second place in the Premier League, my predictions, I've gone with Liverpool. Okay. Again, look, Liverpool did look very, very impressive the other day in the Community Shield against Man City, and obviously, a lot of talk was given about Nunez, and he was getting stick over the summer and things like that. I still think Man City have, and I can put it up on the screen now. Obviously, I'll go with Man City as champions. So I think Man City have strengthened better this summer, and I don't care what anyone says. And your man Nunez can go out and he can score 10 goals in the first 10 games. I'm still going to say he's not a better replace. They haven't replaced Mane well enough. I don't think Nunez is a better replacement for Mane. Certainly not at the moment. He could go on and be a worldie, absolutely, and I'm under no illusions that he may go on and do that. But I certainly think for now, I think Liverpool have weakened in terms of letting Mane go and bringing in Nunez. So that's why I would go with City winning the league and Liverpool coming second. Again, there still is, little under a month to go in the transfer window, so things could still change. I think the Haaland effect is going to be massive there. Obviously, he missed a couple of howlers in the Charity Shield, Community Shield, whatever it's called. But look, he's getting into the right positions, and I think once the players around him figure out that ball over the top or that ball through the channel for him to run onto, I think he's going to be absolutely unstoppable, because that's his game. His game is not necessarily sniffing in around the 6-yard box. His game is working off playing against a defensive high line, working the channels, getting the ball in behind for him and him running onto him and finishing. That's his game. And I think once City figure that out, I think he'll be unstoppable. So yeah, they're my predictions. Again, look, there's a long way to go in the transfer window. There really is. But I certainly do think that I certainly do think that a lot of that can be interchangeable. Man City, Liverpool, maybe not. But I certainly think Spurs, Man United, Chelsea and Arsenal, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, that can go anywhere. It really can go anywhere. And, a lot of it will depend on, potential signings coming in before the end of the transfer window, especially with Manchester United. If we can get De Jong over the line, if we can get Anthony over the line, if we can get the young Sesko in the door, I think it will help Manchester United out an awful lot. But yeah, it all comes down to it. So look, guys, just before we go, I want to just do a couple of shout outs in relation to what we're doing over the next few weeks. Obviously, we have our watch alongs coming along on YouTube for the season. So anyone watching on on TikTok, make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. I have a link tree on my homepage. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also, if we do a fantasy football league as well, again, the link is on my homepage. So if you want to join our fantasy league, the link is there. You can go and join it. There's loads of people in already. We're going to be potentially doing maybe prizes for leader at Christmas and then winner at the end of the season. Maybe a jersey or a t-shirt or something. I haven't really decided yet. So make sure you're joining that. Please go and join our Discord as well. Again, there's a link to it on our homepage. So we've set up a Discord where we can just constantly chat about United. We can put in clips and we can put in score predictions and stuff like that. So we're going to be using that an awful lot to communicate with each other in between videos and content and stuff. So make sure you're joining that. And as well, guys, there's been a lot of people asking me about the podcast. So the podcast is now up and running, okay? And it is up and running, and our host website is called Podbean. So Podbean. It's an app you can download to your phone, or you can look at it through your web browser on a laptop or anything like that. So Podbean is the name of the app. You can download the app, and United Community Podcast is the name of the podcast. Now, we have no episodes up yet. I just have an introduction episode up at the moment, and we will be going live every Monday night from 7:30, okay? And it'll be live on the Podbean app. Now, after we go live, obviously it'll be on Spotify, it'll be on Apple Podcasts, it'll be on all of the spots that you listen to your podcasts on, okay? But if you do want to listen to us live and you can interact with us with a live chat, you can actually do live phone-ins as well. So anybody who wants to call in and give their opinion on anything we're going to be talking about, you can do that as well. We'll do it at maybe the end of each show. I have a couple of friends that are doing it with me as well. It's a bit kind of off script. It's going to be a bit of a laugh. We're going to be discussing each week's Premier League fixtures and what happened, throughout the Premier League weekend. And we're obviously going to be, talking a lot about Manchester United and stuff like that as well. So make sure you download the app Podbean and search United Community Podcast. Anyone who's watching on YouTube, I do have a link pinned at it's at the very top of the chat for the podcast. So if you want to go and click on that, it'll bring you directly to the podcast. So I'm looking forward to starting that, guys, the podcast every Monday at 7:30. So it does mean that the Transfer Talk show on a Monday is not going to be going ahead. I might push it to Tuesday, or we'll do the podcast on a Monday and then we'll jump back onto the Transfer Talk show on YouTube on a Wednesday. But yeah, if any of you have access to download the Podbean, make sure you're doing that as well so you don't miss out on the podcast. But it'll be on Spotify, it'll be on Apple Podcasts and anywhere you get your podcasts. But look, guys, it's been a great show. I've really enjoyed doing the predictions. If you haven't already done so, please hit the like button. It helps the channel out a ton. We're trying to get out to more and more people. And if you could subscribe as well, anyone on YouTube that hasn't done so, please do. And anyone watching on TikTok as well, if you can follow along, you can hit the link tree on my homepage. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. I'd much appreciate it. We're going to be back on Friday night, guys. And we're not going to be doing a Transfer Talk show Friday night. We're actually going to be doing a watch-along. First game of the season, and it's Arsenal. It's rivals of Manchester United, so that's why we're going to be doing it. We're going to be doing a watch-along for the first game of the season. So make sure you're tuning in for that as well. But until then, guys, I appreciate everyone. Thanks for all the likes, follows, shares, subscribes. And look, we'll see you Friday night for our first Premier League watch-along of the season. Take care, guys.